And it just happened that the scenes we started shooting when we got back were the scenes in which Garbo was introduced to Gilbert at the railroad station. And that's from then on, that was the development of their love affair in the picture. I just had a real love affair going for me that you couldn't beat any way you tried.
They looked at each other and said all those awful, trite things that we don't say anymore. Where have you been all my life? And you are the only man in the world, and you are everything. And she made you believe that it had happened to her. They were really two people utterly and totally in love.
In a rare interview, Garbo said, "John Gilbert is one of the finest men I have ever met. He is so fine an artist that he lifts me up and carries me on with him. It is not just scenes that I am doing, I am living."
It was an explosion. I have never seen two people so violently, excitedly in love. I mean, when she walked through a door, if he was in the room, he went white and took a great long breath and then walked toward her as though he were being yanked by a magnet or something. And she had always been rather aloof, and that "I want to go home now" line stuck around her. And she just adored him. It was, and when they made love scenes together for a movie, as they did in a number of them, they had sometimes to be censored a little bit. They were so violently in love that they couldn't conceal it.
She was man, woman, and child. You can't pigeonhole Garbo. She was fascinating, extremely selfish, beautiful, strange. She'd walk around Jack Gilbert's garden perfectly nude with a dressing gown over her back like this. And the Japanese gardener would look at her. But she was completely unconscious, being Swede.
She wanted to give up pictures. And she said, "I will marry you at once and leave the screen." And Gilbert didn't want her to leave the screen, and she said, "You're not in love with me. You're in love with Garbo."
When Eleanor Boardman married King Vidor, Gilbert impulsively suggested a double wedding. Garbo agreed. Gilbert waited. In vain.
And it got to be the point I was upstairs with a little champagne. The people were downstairs. The music was playing. Garbo hadn't shown up, and Gilbert was getting very nervous. He's getting rather violent. Seems that the mayor, who was at one of the guests, was in the men's room with Gilbert. And Gilbert was crying about this thing, the situation, what was going to happen. He was very nervous, and Mayer said, sleep with her, don't marry her. Gilbert socked him and knocked him down. He hit his head on the tile. That was really the beginning of the end of Gilbert's career.
Beginning with that point, after Jack had knocked him down, drawn blood in the bathroom and the whole thing, and he said, I'll destroy you. From that point on, you can see Jack's career going like this, that he's pulling in one direction, and there's some absolute force pulling him back.
When Thalberg fell ill, Mayer was left for a while in charge of production. He put Gilbert in 2 surprisingly cheap pictures.
And at that time, Gilbert suggested doing The Widow in the By Street, which was a poem which was very popular in England. And Gilbert tried to tell the story to Mayer in Mayer's office. Well, it happened to be a story that didn't strike Louis B. Mayer very well, because both the girl and the boy's mother had various colorings that did not quite appeal to Louis B. Mayer. And at one point, he finally stopped and said, are you telling me that this woman in this book is a whore? And Gilbert said, what's wrong with that? My mother was a whore. Whereupon Mayer's temper flashed, his fists went along with it, and he floored Gilbert with one blow.
Gilbert seemed to have lost Garbo, too. The affair had cooled, but she remained in his house, a rather distant friend. Now Gilbert fell for another luminous actress, Jean Eagles. In this newspaper story, Gilbert played an awkward young reporter. He escorts the glamorous society editor to a ball, the beginning of an affair which ends with his ruin. Thalberg had encouraged Gilbert to work on the script with director Montabell. They turned it into an American version of The Widow in the By Street, the story Mayer had refused to allow Gilbert to make. Gilbert, the press suggested, was loving the screen's 2 most beautiful actresses at the same time. Meanwhile, Garbo, playing Anna Karenina, fell ill. She was unhappy with her leading man and her director. MGM replaced them. The fans wanted to see Garbo and Gilbert together again. MGM changed the title to Love. Garbo insisted that only Gilbert could direct her in the love scenes.
She hung on his every word, that she would look at him before any shot was made. If he didn't approve, it would be reshot.
Gilbert directed nearly half the picture, with the agreement of the credited director, Edmund Goulding.